Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are using the Johnson edition. We are in poem 302, Like Some Old-Fashioned Miracle. Now, we're back to summer. The seasons of the year always matter to Emily. And we're back to summer. Poem 6 is going to take us all the way back. The idea that summer somehow symbolizes or represents something really important in Emily's life, and by extension, obviously, all of our lives. In fact, as students, you guys will probably easily say it, that summer is your favorite time of year because, of course, hello, for most of us, we don't have to go to school. Hurrah. Now, this is a poem about summertime, but more than that, it's a poem about remembering. And our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. And I'm hopeful that you've already worked through our set of introductory comments. I'm hopeful that you've already read the preceding of 301 poems. And if you have, in the Johnson edition, we've finished just now with 301, I Reason Earth is Short. And if that's the case, then you know that Emily is constantly playing around with the seasons and the importance of the seasons. The great scholar of Emily Dickinson's work, Heberger, has said it this way, I quote, "As Dickinson gradually restricted herself to her father's house and yard, the plants, birds, insects, and surrounding hills that she had closely observed became increasingly symbolic. They announced the seasons, and the seasons came to be emblems of the phases of psychic existence," end quote. Now, especially summer. For Emily, she sees so much of the creativity that will happen in summer. And again, we're in 1862 when she wrote 365 poems, we believe. That was the year of greatest output. And yet, what do we know about summer? Well, it's awesome, it's amazing, but it goes away. And it will be that remembering of what one has and then it's gone that will leave us, as the last word of the poem is, numb. The other thing I will say here at 2B before we start is, this is one of, all of Emily's poems are so much fun to read aloud, but this is one that I love to read out loud because you're going to hear the hum of summer, if you will. Like some old-fashioned miracle when summertime is done, seems summer's recollection in the affairs of June as infinite tradition as Cinderella's bays or Little John of Lincoln Green or Bluebeard's galleries. Her bees have a fictitious hum, her blossoms like a dream, elate us till we almost weep, so plausible they seem. Her memories like strains review. When orchestra is dumb, the violin in bays replaced, and ear and heaven numb. Well, in its simplest rendering, and by the way, notice, did you hear all those G sounds, all those L sounds, all those B sounds? It's a remarkable poem to read out loud. I love reading it. It is interesting the way that she will celebrate summer, but really lament the loss of summer. Again, the way Emily can dance between celebration and, how would one say it, to be a little bit less than pleased, right, about the whole thing. We'll begin, of course, with Like Some Old-Fashioned Miracle. We're back to poem 12 with old-fashioned. 10 poems she uses this phrase old-fashioned. It's clear that Emily thought of herself in some ways as departing from that which is old-fashioned. We'll be later with Like a Dream. Here it's like some old-fashioned miracle. In other words, the thing that we grow accustomed to, even though it is miraculous. When summertime is done, seems summer's recollection. And the use of summer as a word, think of it. In 126 different poems, Emily references the season of summer. So it tells you a lot about her love and fascination with it. When summertime is done, and there it is, right? We're talking, of course, autumn. Seems summer's, and by the way, we'll get to seem later, they seem. The echoes of this poem are remarkable. Seems summer's recollection and the affairs of June. Now, you'll remember that in poem 130, it was the old sophistries of June. In other words, it's like when we get to the fall, autumn, then we have these recollections of what summer was, and obviously we miss it tremendously. And then she comes to this the idea of something that's endlessly repeating, the cyclical nature, an infinite tradition. And then she gives examples. Cinderella's bays, the ponies that pull Cinderella's, pumpkin that turns into a chariot that turns back into or a carriage that turns back into a pumpkin. Think about bays, by the way, and the bays that will be placed, the violin will be placed in it. That it's fun the way that she plays with sounds. Or, of course, Robin Hood's, what would we call it, Little John, the deputy of Robin Hood, or the pal sidekick of Lincoln Green. And then she'll mention Bluebeard's galleries. You'll remember Bluebeard, the pirate who, of course, kills all his wives and all of that. And she says, it's like all those famous stories from mythology, Cinderella, Robin Hood, Little John, Bluebeard. We remember it after the fact, and we want to hear those stories again. They don't ever go away. Old-fashioned. Her bees, summer, have a fictitious hum. Her blossoms, like a dream. Notice we go from like some to like a dream to like strains. Like a dream, elate us till we almost weep, so plausible they seem. In other words, when you've lost summer, it's like you can have those days right in the end of summer, at the beginning of fall, where it's almost like, hey, I can remember what it was like, and then they're gone. And then we go from miracle to memories. Her memories like strains. Review. I think review is the key word here, because that's exactly what she's doing in this poem, looking back, reflecting, reviewing. And then it's when orchestra is dumb. So any of us that have enjoyed orchestras, you sit in the audience. If you ever have the opportunity to be in the room after everyone is gone and all the instruments are put away, there's this memory of the beauty that was there and now is gone. Dumb to numb. And then, of course, the violin and bays, that is to say the cloth, the rough, coarse cloth that the violin would be placed inside of, replaced, and the ear and heaven are numb. We might say heaven is somehow maybe even numb to universal grieving of the loss of the season. In other words, at 2a, to remember summer is like, right, reviewing and in some ways hearing the tunes in our head when the orchestra is silent and the violin has been, put away in its case. What exactly isn't she saying? I think she's arguing that it's hard to say goodbye to the things we love, like summer. At 2b, well, the sounds of this poem are quite remarkable. I love reading it out loud. It's a lot of fun to read. All the humming sounds of summer. At 3a, well, we said 126 poems she references summer. Some of the most famous summer poems, especially mentioned in the very first line, 1682, 31, poem 1422, poem 1506, poem 1363, poem 1386. All of those poems will reference summer in the first line of the poem. Finally, at 3b, to own a poem like this, how do you deal with the loss of summer and the old-fashioned miracle that just keeps coming back? Thank you.